And this update was sponsored by My Patriot Supply. Guys, My Patriot Supply is doing a 60% off sale for the end of 2023. And they're also doing a 25% sale on their 4-week emergency food supply. To get these deals, you have to go to preparewithnyprepper.com. The link is in the description below this video, and their 4-week emergency food supply is contained within 2 rugged watertight buckets. Free shipping is included. So you have a month's worth of food packed into just 2 buckets. If you have to bug out, you can easily take those buckets with you. If you live in a small apartment, you can easily find a space to store 2 buckets, and you're going to be set for at least a month. And this food is freeze dried, so it has a 25-year shelf life. It includes breakfasts, lunches, dinners, drinks, and snacks. And My Patriot Supply is also running a 60% off end of the year sale. And to take advantage of that, you have to click on the My Patriot Supply logo when you get to preparewithnyprepper.com. It's at the top of the page. You click on that and it'll take you to their general store. And you'll see here all kinds of prepping and survival products. They have MREs. They have 2,400 calorie emergency ration bars. They have canned heat and cooking fuel. They have potassium iodide, survival seeds, solar generators, solar panels, anything you can imagine. It's all in here. So use the link preparewithnyprepper.com to get 25% off of their 1-month emergency food supply, and to also take advantage of their 60% off sale across their entire store. And I'll leave a link in the description below this video. All right, guys, so I'm going to get started. We have some major breaking news. Major breaking news today. I mean, it's just so much news. It's going to be hard to cover it all in one night, but I'm going to try to do my best to squeeze it all into an hour or two. Samuel Turner, thank you for the donation. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All the moderators, thank you guys for helping me out tonight. I appreciate you guys. Lorna, Gene W., Smoking Swamp Outdoors, and all the regulars. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate your support. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Thanks for all your comments, and I hope everybody had a great Christmas. And I wish all you guys Happy New Year. But we have some very serious news to get to. So for those of you guys that are still complaining about no sound or low sound, you might be a couple of minutes behind. So just skip forward to make sure you're watching live and you're not watching the replay. So what you're looking at here, guys, is a flight tracker, and we had 4 nuclear war command and control planes in the air this afternoon and early this evening. We have one about to land at Patuxent River. These planes are responsible for remotely launching all of our Minuteman III ICBMs, and they're also responsible for communicating with our submerged nuclear-armed submarines. They are responsible for transmitting the emergency war order from the president, which is the order to launch nukes. Okay, so these planes are extremely important. Especially during a nuclear war. If our fixed transmitter sites in Maine and Washington got taken out, these planes would serve as a backup to those fixed sites. So we had 4 of them in the air this afternoon, and in the evening there's 2 in the air right now. Let me just show you guys what's going on over the Middle East. We have a U.S. reconnaissance drone patrolling the coast of Lebanon right now, and all these planes being up in the air, the timing, it's very concerning. So let me just start running through some headlines. We have some breaking news that just came in within the last 2 hours. Apparently, the U.S. has launched airstrikes on Iranian militias in Syria. And apparently, this was in and around Al Bukamal, with 9 different sites being hit. So, this was a pretty massive airstrike by the United States. And apparently, 20 Iranian militia members have been killed and wounded. And apparently 8 trucks that were entering from Iraq into Syria were destroyed. Okay, so they hit the trucks and they hit 9 different sites in Syria. Okay, so this is breaking right now, okay, this evening. And that's probably why this drone is up in the air. And that's probably why those nuclear war command and control planes are in the air now, and why there were more of them earlier. Let me just show you guys what we had going on earlier. So this was just about 3 hours ago. There were 4 of them in the air here. Okay, 4 of them. One over the west coast here, California, 2 in the Gulf of Mexico, and then 1 over Oklahoma. So our nuclear forces are on high alert, guys. And once again, if you're just tuning in, the U.S. has launched airstrikes on Syria, guys. Okay, tonight they launched airstrikes on Syria. So very serious situation. Smoke and Swamp, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate it. Thank you for all you do, brother. Happy New Year. Thank you, Smoke and Swamp. I appreciate it. I can't read this this name here. It looks like some Cyrillic name. Thank you for the donation. Can you make the chat every minute or every 30 seconds? Yes, I can definitely do that. The mods just slowed it down because when I was having technical issues, they slowed it down, but they can speed it back up to every 30 seconds or every minute now. Mike Subchinsky, thanks for the donation. I am going to be home for New Year's Eve, and I am going to stay safe as well. I hope you all have a safe New Year's. Thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. And Nunya Business, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Crazy Neighbor, thank you for that super chat. I really appreciate it. And so, guys, things are really getting crazy. Earlier today, in case you missed my video that I posted later in the afternoon, for some reason, a lot of people didn't see that video. I noticed the views were a little bit lower for some reason. I think maybe because everybody's focused on New Year's. But all hell is breaking loose, guys. Okay, all hell is breaking loose right now today. Leading into 2024, it seems like all these war fronts are escalating simultaneously. We have the U.S. launching airstrikes on Syria tonight. We had Russia launch the largest missile strike on Ukraine since the war started late last night. And then during that airstrike or missile strike, one of the missiles flew into Polish airspace and violated Polish airspace. The missile flew for, let me try to remember, was it 3 minutes and 40 kilometers? Okay. So this missile, supposedly meant for Ukraine, flew into Poland. Okay. A cruise missile. The Polish government is saying it was a KH-101, flew into Poland, in southeastern Poland, just north of Lviv. And it flew into southeastern Poland for 3 minutes. Okay, it was in the air for 3 minutes over Polish airspace, and it flew for 40 kilometers. Okay, 40 kilometers, guys. That's a long distance. Okay, 3 minutes in the air and 40 kilometers. That's about 25 miles. Okay. And the Polish government is saying that the missile turned around and went back into Ukraine. There's no evidence that it crashed in Polish territory, which is a bunch of BS, in my opinion. It's almost like the Polish government is trying to, make it seem like it's not as bad by saying, oh, yeah, it didn't actually crash in Polish territory. It just merely flew into Poland and then turned around and flew out of Poland. It's just the dumbest thing. I mean, so this is very serious, guys. Okay, this is the third Russian missile to land in Poland, guys. Okay, since the war started. The first one crashed in a farming town just a few miles over the border and killed 2 Polish farmers. That was swept under the rug. Okay, NATO didn't respond to it. They just absorbed that. Okay, they told Poland, we're not going to go to World War III over 2 Polish farmers. Fast forward a few months later, and we had another missile crash in northwestern Poland, just a few miles from a NATO base, and it had a concrete warhead on it. Okay, and same thing, it was brushed off and no big deal, but the Polish military tracked that missile came in from Belarus, and it crashed into northwestern Poland. That was the second missile, and now this is the third missile, and I think this is probably the most serious one. Flying for 3 minutes inside of Polish airspace and 25 miles, guys. Okay. Son of Hearn, thank you so much for that donation. Looks like you're coming in from the UK. Hopefully I can get to Britain one of these days. I always wanted to see Britain and Ireland, beautiful countries, a lot of history. Twista Sista, thank you for the donation. I really appreciate it, and Happy New Year. Hope you're having a great Friday night. Okay, so major events tonight, guys. Okay, the U.S. launching airstrikes on Iranian militias in Syria. 9 targets were hit, at least 9. It could be more. At least 20 Iranian militia members were killed and or wounded in Al-Bukamal. And apparently a convoy of trucks was destroyed entering from Iraq into Syria. So this is very, very serious, guys. Okay. And let me just show you guys what we had going on last night in case you missed my update. So this was around the time, this is a screenshot showing a U.S. aerial refueler in the air in southeastern Poland, right around the time when that missile flew into southeastern Poland. And this is a U.S. aerial refueler, and it was literally right in the same area as where the Russian missile flew into Poland, and at the same time, more or less. Okay, so this U.S. aerial refueler with U.S. Air Force personnel was flying in the same area as where that Russian missile flew into Poland. So the question here is, was Russia purposely trying to target this U.S. Aerial refueler? Were they trying to test Poland? Was it a mistake? The weird thing is the location where this missile entered Poland was much further north from Lviv, and there's no other targets there in northwestern Ukraine where this thing crossed over. Let me show you where the missile crossed into Poland. That was right here. See this red pin drop here? So Lviv is right here, and the missile crossed over here. Okay, there's no military targets. There's nothing up here in northwestern Ukraine for Russia to just launch a missile in this area. It's not like, they were trying to hit Lviv, but then they hit, Rzeszów or something, which is where the international airport is, where all the Western equipment is coming in. Okay. They were going for Lviv, and then it kept going straight and it hit Rzeszów. There's nothing up here. So this had to be deliberate, guys. Okay. Putin is testing Poland. He's trying to scare Poland. He's testing NATO, and NATO is failing all the tests. Okay. This is the third missile to land in Polish territory, okay? And then multiple drones crashing into Romania. And what has Biden done about it? Nothing, okay? Biden said, we're going to defend every inch of NATO territory. Bullshit, okay? That's a bunch of BS. I can guarantee you that if Russia walked into Latvia tomorrow, Biden would not do anything about it. He would do the same thing he did for Israel and Ukraine, which is the bare minimum. He would send them helmets and AK rounds. That's what he would do. Okay. He's showing weakness here, and Putin is not scared of Biden, and that's why he's doing what he's doing here, launching missiles into a NATO country. Okay, and one of Poland's most historic cities happens to be right near where this missile flew into Poland. And it makes me wonder also if that was kind of a way of Russia scaring Poland, like, hey, we can destroy your cities just like we destroyed Ukraine's cities. I don't know, guys. And then that U.S. aerial refueler was right in this area. Okay, so the chances of an escalation are huge. Okay, Russia is pushing the boundaries in a serious way. Okay, I cannot stress to you how serious this is. Here we have a picture coming out of Ukraine. This shows some kind of mall that was hit during this missile strike last night. Um, and I'm hearing that there's already over 30 people killed and over 160 injured so far from this missile strike, guys. And all these missiles hit civilian targets, guys. None of these Russian missiles targeted military targets. Very few of them, if any at all. This was purely a terror attack designed to cripple Ukraine's will to fight back. Okay, this is just basically a terror attack, is what this is. Okay, why would you hit a shopping mall? Okay, it makes no sense whatsoever from a military standpoint. If you're going to war with another country, you're not going to target their shopping malls. You're not going to target apartment buildings. Unless you're just completely desperate. And, this is the equivalent of a low blow, like in a boxing match. If you're getting your ass kicked, okay, sometimes, boxers will hit below the belt, and that's what they're doing here. Okay, they're hitting below the belt. There's no military value here. This is purely a terror attack, okay? And, this is the world we live in, guys, okay? 2024 is going to be absolutely insane. Putin is not afraid of America anymore. Okay, he's not afraid of NATO. He's launching missiles into Poland. He's bombing civilians. There's no punishment for it. Sanctions are not going to do anything. Okay, and he knows that the sanctions are a joke. It's just absolutely insane what's going on, guys. Just make sure you guys are getting prepared, because all these war fronts are going to escalate and expand as we head into 2024. And I'm going to be releasing my 2024 forecast tomorrow, what I expect to happen in 2024. But all these war fronts are going to expand and escalate as time goes on. Okay, it's only going to get worse. It's not going to get any better. Okay. It's only going to get worse and worse, not better, okay? Lily Highlander, thank you so much for the super chat. NYP, you are reaching more people than you know. You encourage us as we try to help others prepare. Thanks for supporting our troops in the field. God bless your efforts. Thank you so much, Lily. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. So I'm going to just continue with some of these headlines. What you're looking at here is an official post from the Polish military. And they said here that they deployed fighter jets last night. Poland actually deployed 2 F-16 pairs and an Allied tanker that was probably the U.S. KC-135 that I was just showing you. So Poland deployed 4 of their F-16s last night when this missile was heading towards Poland. Okay, that's pretty serious. At around 4:50 a.m. local time in Poland, the pair from Krzesiny took off, and around 5:25, the pair I don't even understand what they're trying to say here. It looks like a typo. But anyway, 4 F-16s were deployed by Poland last night. Okay. And this happened early in the morning. Just absolutely insane what's going on in this world. I mean, just nonstop. Things are just really, really spiraling out of control. and our nuclear forces are on high alert tonight. Okay, and let me just show you guys some other screenshots. This was from late last night. In case you guys missed my update earlier today, this is Forte 14. This is an RQ-4 Global Hawk reconnaissance drone that was patrolling very heavily along the coast of Lebanon. And I have some breaking news about Lebanon. It looks like the situation between Lebanon and Israel is going to escalate dramatically very soon. Okay, so I'm going to get to that in a few minutes here, but this is a targeting pattern. When you see these RQ-4s doing this, it means they're collecting target information. Okay, and you can see that this thing was flying right off the coast of Lebanon. So they're collecting targeting information on Lebanon for a possible future campaign against Lebanon by Israel or allied forces. Okay. So I'm just going to go through some of the headlines here. So again, massive missile attack last night in Ukraine, the largest since the war started. Okay. Every major city in Ukraine was hit. A stray Russian missile flew into Poland for 3 minutes, and the U.S. launched airstrikes tonight on Iranian militias in Syria. Okay, so those are the major headlines. We also have breaking news coming in that Iran is going to unveil their first ICBM next year, the Qaim 105, which is a satellite launch vehicle, is also designed to function as an ICBM. The missile has 2 versions. The first version has 3 stages, and the second version has 4 stages and a range of 10,000 kilometers with a max payload of 400 kilograms, which is about 1,000 pounds, and 10,000 kilometers is 6,000 miles. So, they could potentially reach the U.S. with this thing. Okay, so that's next year. Apparently, Iran is going to unveil their first ICBM. They're already enriching uranium at a rapid pace, guys. Okay, and the U.S. issued a joint statement a few days ago with France, Germany, and the U.K. warning Iran to stop their nuclear program. Okay, they issued a joint statement. I did a video update on it. I'm not sure if you guys remember that one or not, but they issued a joint statement warning Iran to cease. Okay, stop their nuclear program. Okay, so the situation with Iran is escalating, guys. Okay, we could see a war with Iran. Toolmaker 74, thank you for the super chat. Keep prepping all you can. Definitely, yeah, you have to continue to prepare as much as possible. And, I know some of you guys out there are not Christian, but I am. And I believe one of the most important preps is trusting in God. You can have all the physical preps in the world, but you can't prepare for everything. There's certain situations that you cannot prepare for, and in that case you need to have some faith in God. So let me just continue with some of the news here. Iran is accelerating weapons shipments to Hezbollah to prepare for a large military clash with Israel. Ynet is reporting. Ynet is an Israeli news outlet. Apparently, Iran is sending high-precision munitions for attacks on the Israeli home front and sensitive facilities. Okay, so Iran is going to accelerate their weapons shipments to Hezbollah, sending more high-precision munitions. And for the second time this month, the Biden administration has approved an emergency arms sale to Israel. The deal will include M107 155 millimeter projectile fuses, charges, and primers valued at $147 million. So Israel is not getting this for free. They're buying it from us, okay? But the Biden administration is approving the sale, bypassing Congress. Normally, when there's a foreign weapons sale, Congress has to approve it. But because of the imminent need of it, and because of the holidays, the administration is approving it on their own. So that's just a big red flag that something big is about to go down in the Middle East. Most likely, I think between Hezbollah and Israel is going to be the next big one. And we've seen a lot of the Iranian militias operating out of Syria and Iraq striking Israel now. Okay, so it's not just Hezbollah attacking Israel anymore. It's also the Iranian militias that are attacking Israel. So Israel's getting attacked from all sides. They're getting attacked by the Yemen terrorists. They're getting attacked by the terrorists in Iraq and Syria, and the terrorists in Lebanon. Okay. So this war is just going to escalate and expand in the Middle East. It's only going to get worse and worse. Okay. And this is falling in line with Bible prophecy, guys. Okay. The Bible says that in the end times, Israel's going to come under attack. Christians are going to be persecuted. And we're starting to see that. Okay. I'm not saying that the end is tomorrow. I'm not saying that we're in the tribulation period, but we're definitely in the end times. Okay. The Israeli military launched airstrikes on Syria today after rockets were fired at the Golan Heights in northern Israel. They also launched strikes at Hezbollah sites in Lebanon after warning sirens were heard in several towns in the northern Golan Heights. The Israeli Defense Forces confirmed they were triggered by rockets launched towards the Golan Heights. And the Israeli Defense Force says 2 projectiles landed in open areas. So these were the Iranian militias launching rockets from Syria at northern Israel, guys. And we've heard multiple high-profile Israeli politicians and leaders saying that they're not going to tolerate this anymore. They're not going to allow Hezbollah to continue to pummel northern Israel without any punishment. Okay, they've been attacking Hezbollah, but only in a defensive way. They've just been responding. They haven't really gone in offensively. And I think what's going to happen is once Israel wraps up their campaign in Gaza, which will be soon, at least the main part of it, then they're going to go after Hezbollah after that. Okay. For a second day in a row, the IDF carried out an extensive airstrike in Lebanon. The army says fighter jets bombed multiple sites following launches at Israel. The army also says it struck terror infrastructure belonging to Hezbollah. So, it's escalating over there. And a couple of days ago, Hezbollah launched the largest attack yet on Israel since the start of the war, okay, in Gaza. So that situation is continuing to expand and escalate. It's just getting worse and worse by the day. And we had a United Nations plane fly from Greece to Latvia last night. This is pretty interesting. Not sure what the purpose of this plane was, who was on board and whatnot, but that's pretty rare to see. And there was also a P-8 Poseidon subhunter plane patrolling the Baltic Sea. This was earlier this morning at the same time as the UN plane was flying to Latvia. So very interesting. And let me just show you guys what we got going on right now. I'm going to just keep the live flight tracker up so you guys can see. So here we have Forte 15 keeping an eye on Lebanon. My guess is Forte 14 and Forte 15 were involved with this U.S. strike on Syria tonight. And it's possible we might see more strikes tonight or tomorrow. Let's see, what other headlines do I have? Joe Biden warned that the United States is at risk of being pulled into a direct conflict with Russia if the Kremlin succeeds in its war against Ukraine. Biden's statement follows Russia's massive aerial attack across Ukraine on Friday, Kyiv Air Force officials said that about 110 missiles struck Ukraine, hitting hospitals, residential buildings, and a shopping center. At least 31 citizens were killed in the attack and another 120 wounded, according to Ukrainian officials cited by Reuters. Biden said in a statement released Friday, "It is a stark reminder to the world that after nearly 2 years of this devastating war, Putin's objective remains unchanged. He seeks to obliterate Ukraine and subjugate its people. He must be stopped." Okay, so strong words there from Biden, okay, saying Putin must be stopped. And, that whole situation is just, it's going to get really crazy in Ukraine next year. I don't know if this massive strike is the beginning of more massive strikes. I think it is, because Russia has been saving up all their missiles the entire summer and the entire fall. They've been saving up all their missiles so that way now they can suddenly launch massive attacks. Yes, they did bomb a maternity ward. That's correct. They did bomb a maternity ward. That is correct. It's just insane. So there's reports coming in tonight that Ukraine attacked some kind of microelectronics plant in Bryansk, Russia, the Kraimny L plant in Bryansk, and I have a video here. Let me see if I can share that with you guys. I have a video of it. So apparently this was in Russia this evening. Some kind of microelectronics plant getting hit by either a Ukrainian drone or Ukrainian missile. I don't know, but this is in southwestern Russia, in the Bryansk region of Russia. You can see the timestamp up here. It says 12/30/2023. So let me play this for you guys. All right, so Ukraine is launching some drone strikes tonight on Russia. Again, one of the largest microelectronics producers in Russia. Also, apparently the water supply network in Bryansk was damaged by Ukrainian drones tonight, and there's multiple explosions and smoke reported in Belgorod, and the Russian Ministry of Defense is reporting that they intercepted several Ukrainian drones. So it looks like Ukraine struck back tonight. Major hits reported in Bryansk. I actually have another video here I want to share with you guys. Stand by. I'm going to put it up on the screen. It looks like a pretty serious strike by Ukraine tonight. So it's only going to escalate, guys. Zelensky said he's going to draft 600,000 or 500,000 troops. That's a massive number, guys. Okay, that is a massive amount. And so this is a video coming in from Bryansk in Russia, apparently. You'll see this massive fireball here. Look at that. That's insane. So Ukraine is striking back tonight, and I'm sure they're going to strike back in the coming days for sure with drones. I believe Zelensky said that they're going to be producing like some ridiculous number of drones. I forget how many, but I think it was like thousands or millions of drones. I can't remember the exact number. It was like 50,000 drones or something crazy like that. So that's pretty insane. I just sped up the chat to 1 minute. I think it was still at 2 minutes. I sped it up to 1 minute. We'll see how it goes now. Um, Continuing with the breaking news, the National Health Commission of China has reported a significant rise in influenza cases, marking it as the leading cause of respiratory diseases in the country for the past week. This statement came from the National Health Commission spokesperson Mi Feng during a recent press conference. The declaration arrives amidst efforts by Chinese health authorities to track and respond to outbreaks of respiratory illnesses across the nation. According to the NHC, there has been an increase in influenza cases compared to the previous week. So, significant rise in influenza cases in China being reported, and is now the leading cause of respiratory diseases in China, okay, in the past week. And something's been going around over here, guys. A lot of people I know, people in my family, have come down with various types of illnesses. So I don't know what's going on, but it's definitely strange, to say the least. And Gene W., thank you so much for moderating tonight. I really appreciate it. And Finland has got to be on the edge. Yeah, Finland is definitely on edge. They closed down their entire border, guys. Lorna said I pulled the chat earlier and people asked for the chat to be slow. Okay. Well, if it gets too fast, you could slow it down again. So if you want to slow it down again, I must have missed that poll. Sorry about that. So TW Perry, how's it going, TW? So we have some breaking news coming in from the Korean Peninsula. South Korea has reportedly detected signs of North Korea making launch preparations for solid-fueled, intermediate-range, and intercontinental ballistic missiles, and they're saying strategic provocations are expected in the new year. So the situation in Korea is escalating, guys. God's soldiers, how's it going? Great to see you in here. Thanks for showing up tonight. I hope you're doing well, and Happy New Year. Davis08 says, I think the El Nino has something to do with new strains that people are not used to. Yeah, it's very possible. We are in an El Nino right now, which basically means global temperatures are higher than normal. Eddie Hallner, thank you so much for the super chat. And Happy New Year. Hope you're having a great night. North Korea's experimental light water nuclear reactor is expected to be in full-fledged operation next summer, South Korea's defense chief has said. South Korean Defense Minister Shin Won-sik made the remark to reporters on Thursday after the IAEA Director General Rafael Grossi renewed concerns last week over signs of activity at the reactor in the North's main Yongbyon nuclear complex. Grossi said his agency had detected signs of the North commissioning the reactor, such as the strong outflow of water from its cooling system since mid-October, noting the experimental reactor can produce plutonium, a key nuclear weapon fuel. Like any other nuclear reactor, Shin said Seoul has detected signs of cooling water being discharged from the reactor since last summer, estimating that it would likely take the North about a year since then to put the reactor in full operation. The reactor is currently on a test run for improvements to its equipment and facilities, he said. It is expected to be in normal operation by next summer. The North started building the experimental reactor more than a decade ago, which is known to have a bigger capacity than the 5-megawatt reactor at Yongbyon that the regime has used to produce plutonium. Okay, so North Korea is spinning up another nuclear reactor that they can use to enrich uranium and build more weapons-grade plutonium for their nuclear weapons, guys. This is very concerning. Okay, and where's the Biden administration about this? They're not doing anything about it at all. It's just absolutely insane. And the Israeli Defense Force is shifting to a new, more aggressive attack method against Hezbollah in Lebanon, according to Walla News. The Israeli army is now mobilizing fighter jets, tanks, artillery, and mortar fire in parallel to maximize strike impact. Forces near the Lebanon border are on alert for extreme scenarios, including a Hezbollah invasion into Israel. Okay, so Walla News is an Israeli news outlet, is saying that Israeli forces near the Lebanon border are on alert for extreme scenarios, including a Hezbollah invasion. Okay. And an Israeli military spokesman said Israeli forces are operating inside tunnels in Khan Yunis, that's the city in southern Gaza. And Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said the 98th Division is fighting in spaces that nobody in the world ever fought in. And he's saying that Israeli forces have reached command centers, ammunition depots, and arms production sites. And an Israeli military spokesman said Israel bombed several targets that are very painful for Hezbollah. Some strikes targeted sites near the Litani River. And according to various reports, the full scope of Israel's military action in Lebanon is not being disclosed. So, meaning that Israel is doing a lot more than what's being reported on the news. This is being reported by Israeli News 12, by the way, for those of you guys that, are anal about having sources, and I have to mention what sources I use. So, there's your source. The Israeli Defense Forces discovered a strategic tunnel used by top Hamas leaders in northern Gaza, Israeli News 12 reported. And Israeli forces also found one of the leaders of Hamas's hideouts near Gaza City. Sinwar is that guy's name, the leader of Hamas, Sinwar. They found out where one of his hideouts is in Gaza City. Obviously, he wasn't there. And apparently Hezbollah bolstered forces significantly on the Syria-Israel border after the killing of the IRGC officer Mousavi in Damascus this week. This is being reported by the Israeli news outlet Makor Rishon. Apparently large quantities of Hezbollah weapons and military gear have been moved to the Syria-Israel border. Okay, so something could happen, guys. It's possible that Hezbollah could do something crazy, like try to invade Israel, Country Christian, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate your kind comment and your support and your friendship, and Happy New Year, and I hope you're having a great evening tonight. Eddie Hallner, thank you again for another super chat. I really appreciate that. Let's see, what other news do I have here? According to Taiwan's Ministry of Defense, 22 Chinese military aircraft and 4 Chinese Navy vessels were spotted around the island of Taiwan on December 29th. The number of military aircraft spotted is highly elevated today. Okay, so Taiwan noted a lot more Chinese aircraft around their country today than prior days and prior weeks. So all these war fronts are expanding and escalating, guys. It's crazy. And we have some concerning news coming out of Iowa. Dozens of Iowa National Guard soldiers will depart for Kosovo on Friday as part of an alliance and new NATO peacekeeping mission. The primary goal is to conduct live aerial medevac operations, refueling, and maintenance support for the U.S. Kosovo security forces and the coalition that has developed between both entities over more than a decade. So the Iowa National Guard is deploying soldiers to Kosovo, guys, as part of the NATO peacekeeping mission. I can't remember the last time we deployed forces to Kosovo. So something's brewing over there. And former Israeli Prime Minister Naftali Bennett has called for Israel and the U.S. to confront Iran directly, making it pay for sowing chaos through its proxy militias. It's time for the U.S. and its allies to target Tehran and bring down its regime, he said. So strong words there from Naftali Bennett. Okay. And as far as I know, Naftali Bennett is kind of more of a dove when it comes to war. He's not really like a war hawk by any means. Thank you for the super chat, Prodby. Opinion on U.S. denying Israel's request for Apaches. I actually didn't even hear about that, but there's so much news; it's easy to miss some of these things. So I can't confirm if that's true or not. But if it is true, yeah, I mean that's insane. I mean we've seen how the current administration has been kind of throwing Israel under the bus. They've been kind of flip-flopping back and forth. On one hand, they say, oh, we're going to support Israel. And then on the other hand, they throw Israel under the bus. So, yeah, this administration is definitely not, pro-Israel by any means. They're just doing the minimum necessary, basically. If this administration was pro-Israel, you know what they would do? They would be helping Israel with this operation and actually committing some of our forces to help Israel get rid of Hamas. And we would also be launching airstrikes on Hezbollah instead of letting Israel do it themselves and let Israel get attacked by Hezbollah all the time. We would just launch a bunch of airstrikes and annihilate Hezbollah in one night. And we're not doing that, just like we're not doing anything about the Houthi rebels attacking all the cargo ships going through the Red Sea. We're not doing anything about this missile that flew into Poland, the Russian missile that flew into Poland, the third missile to fly into Poland. Okay. So this administration is a joke, and, all the evil leaders around the world see it. Okay. That's why all hell is breaking loose right now. Okay, when the United States has weak leadership, this is what happens, guys. The balance of power changes, okay? When the U.S. is weak, all these communist, evil leaders and countries start to get more powerful and exert their dominance, okay? So as long as we're showing weakness, it's going to continue this way. Aldo Schmedek says, I'm in Iowa. I have a friend from Kosovo. She has always treated me nice, and her husband is from Albania. Serbia wants to take Kosovo back. Yes, they do want to take Kosovo back. That's right. Pebbles says, I'm making turkey dumpling soup while listening to Greg. That sounds really nice. That sounds tasty. Turkey dumpling soup sounds amazing. So going to continue with some more headlines here. Former Prime Minister of Israel, Naftali Bennett, reveals he directed Israel's security forces to strike Iran on two separate occasions in 2022. The first time Israel struck Iran under Bennett's watch was in February 2022. He writes in an opinion piece published in the Wall Street Journal, in response to two failed UAV attacks launched at Israel by Tehran, Bennett says he authorized a strike against a UAV base on Iranian soil. He says the second time he authorized security forces to move against Tehran was in March that same year. Following an Iranian attempt to kill Israeli tourists in Turkey, Israel assassinated Hassan Sayyad Qadai, the commander who Bennett says had overseen the unit responsible for the attempted murder. Bennett had hinted in the past that Israel was responsible for the killing of Qadai, but had stopped short of actually acknowledging. So that's crazy, guys. The former Prime Minister of Israel revealing that he directed Israel's security forces to strike Iran on two separate occasions, and they actually did it. Okay, so like I said many times, I've been on YouTube for 6 years, and I've said it probably thousands of times. Okay, you cannot trust the official narrative. Okay, you cannot trust the official story, because the official story is usually 10% of the truth, and 90% is not reported. Okay, and that's done on purpose to prevent panic. They don't want the general population around the world to really know what's going on. They want to keep us in the dark. um, so this is just an example of that. And the president of Argentina said that his country will resign from BRICS. That is huge, guys. Okay. And the U.S. Census Bureau said the global population grew by 75 million people over the past year. And there was a huge rogue wave that wounded 8 people in California. I wish I could show you the footage, but unfortunately I cannot on this platform. Um, so just crazy stuff going on around the world, guys. Lots of things going on. And we also have a security alert in Ukraine right now. The U.S. Embassy in Kyiv in Ukraine is issuing an advisory for the New Year's. Okay, they're saying that there's an increase in chances of attacks over the New Year's holiday. Okay, so for all we know, there could be another attack tomorrow on Ukraine or Sunday. I mean, this could just be the beginning, guys. Russia has been storing up all their missiles. Okay, they've been storing up their missiles. Mike Subchinsky, thank you for the super chat. God will judge the bad Joe and all the other bad whole world part and let go. God always wins. Yes, I agree. God always wins. Thank you so much for that super chat, Mike. And I hope you have a great New Year's. And I wish you all the best in 2024. And I hope you're having a great evening. So these were some of the nuclear warplanes that were airborne this evening. You could see 2 of them over the Gulf of Mexico doing loops here. Absolutely insane, guys. Okay. So things are really spiraling out of control around the world. Here's a picture of the Polish army in southeastern Poland looking for possible debris from this Russian missile. And I'll just show you guys the region where they're looking for this missile. So, like I said, it was north of Lviv in this area here. They're searching in this section right here. Okay, it's kind of like a triangle between Hrubieszów, Zamość, and Tomaszów Lubelski. This area right here. Okay, this little section, you can see one road going here, one road going here, and they're searching this whole area to see if this missile crashed somewhere over here. And this is quite far from Lviv, okay, which is that main western city in Ukraine. It's 60. It's actually 70 miles north of Lviv, okay, where this missile entered Polish territory. So it was definitely not an accident. I mean, yeah, Russian missiles have terrible guidance systems. They're very old and stuff, but 70 miles, I mean, come on. That was not a mistake. That was on purpose. They're testing our our resolve. JA, thank you so much for the support. I appreciate it. Greg, can you do a video on the importance of hazmat gear and proper decontamination after exposure? Yeah, I could do a video on that. I will say I'm not certified in, hazmat. So, that's the only reason why I've never really done videos on that. I don't want to necessarily give out like medical information and then, something happens and someone blames me. But, I mean, decontamination as far as nuclear decontamination is pretty simple, depending on, uh, what you're dealing with. If it's fallout, if you have any fallout on your body, you just want to brush it off. You especially want to check your hair, because fallout is like sand, so it can land in your hair and get stuck in your hair. And so you want to really brush your hair really good. Make sure there's no fallout particles on your body, on your skin. You want to take all your clothes off and put your clothes in a bag, and leave that bag, away from your shelter, wherever you're going to be sheltering. And if you have, a shower or some kind of running water, or even if somebody just dumps a bucket of water on you, that will help too, just to get all the particles off of your body. If we're talking about like biological and chemical, it's a lot more complicated. Like chemical warfare, it's a lot different, and decontaminating from that is much more complicated, and it would be too much for me to discuss right now. But there's different things you can do for that as well. Um, and the thing with chemical warfare is if you're dealing with some kind of chemical agent, depending on what it is, what kind of chemical agent it is. If it's like a nerve agent, I mean, there's really no margin of error there. I mean, you just need a little bit of that on your skin and you're done. And the only way to you need to have an antidote to reverse the effects. So if you don't have that antidote on you, or if there's no hospital close by, you're done for. Um, I mean, on one side, nerve agents are bad. On the other side, if you have that antidote, it'll basically reverse all the negative effects and you'll be fine. But there's very little room for error. You need to make sure you have a really good tight seal with your gas mask. You need to make sure that you have protection on your skin that's fully sealed. I mean, the nerve agents that are used today, I mean, even if everything is fully sealed properly and everything, it still doesn't guarantee that you're not going to get messed up. And they have these chemical agents now that they make them like gel. So what happens is if they deploy, let's say, a sarin or something, or VX, it's mixed with like a gel. So when they deploy it, you have all this gel. It's like a sticky gel that sprays all over the environment, and it can sit in the environment for a very long time. And it's not easy to decontaminate the environment. So, hopefully that we'll never have to worry about that here in the West, in America, or in Europe, unless you're on the front lines somewhere. Um, Blonde Brain Scans, thank you so much for the donation. I appreciate it. Hope you're having a great night and Happy New Year. Rodney Middleton, how's it going? I hope you had a great Christmas. Good to see you in here. Kincoy, good to see you, Kincoy, and Happy New Year. Michelle PTL says, trust the Lord 100%, not the world. He will provide and protect you. God bless. Thank you, Michelle. I appreciate that. That's an important thing to remind people of. An important thing to remember is to trust God. So let me see if there's any other headlines here I can go through. But the situation's just getting crazy, guys. Okay, all these war fronts are opening up around the world. It's just absolutely insane. See if I can put my camera back on. I turned my camera off because somehow it was affecting my sound. So I'm going to turn my camera back on so you guys can see my face. Hopefully it won't affect the sound. So yeah, it looks like sound is still good. Puppies, Bratu, thank you for the support. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And Crow TN, thank you for gifting 10 memberships. Hope you're having a great Friday night, and hope you do something fun for New Year's. Any alerts or concerns for Canada right now? I was going to actually update about Canada. Canada apparently is very concerned about the Russian and Chinese activity in the Arctic. So Canada is putting together some type of a task force because they're so concerned about the activity in the Arctic. Okay, so potentially, I mean, I've said it for a long time that if Russia and China were to invade the U.S., which I don't think is going to happen anytime soon, but it's very possible. If they were to invade the U.S., I think one of the ways they would do it is by going through Canada and Mexico, because Canada is first of all, Canada has a lot of minerals. There's a ton of uranium in northern Saskatchewan. I mean, there's massive uranium mines there. There's oil, all kinds of minerals, coal. So that would be a big incentive for Russia and China to try to at least take the northern part of Canada. They don't necessarily have to try to take the cities, but they can take, let's say, the remote areas of northern Canada. And if they could even hold on to that a little bit, it would essentially separate Alaska from the continuous U.S. And, that would put them in a strategic location. Then they could potentially attack Alaska once they have it separated from the U.S. And then simultaneously they could come in through Mexico. But we're talking like worst case scenario there. I don't think that's going to happen. Smoking Swamp Outdoors. You see my 3-day camp out I did, Greg. It was in skunk ape territory. No skunk ape footage yet, but outdoor content. I didn't have a chance to watch that. I haven't had a chance to watch much YouTube, lately. So I'm going to definitely put it on my list, though. Thanks for letting me know. And that sounds like a really fun time. I hope you continue doing that and filming those journeys. If Russia takes back Alaska, then Canada is feasible. Yeah, for sure. They would probably attack Canada first before going to Alaska, obviously, because Alaska, heavily defended. We have F-22s there, so it wouldn't be easy to take Alaska. So I think, if anything, Canada would be attacked first. And also, one thing about Canada that a lot of people don't know about is Canada is basically a tripwire for the U.S. So if there was a nuclear war, Russia would launch their missiles over the Arctic, and we have long and short range radars along the Canadian Arctic, and those radars would detect the missiles coming, and that's why Canada is part of NORAD. So Canada is critical for the U.S. as far as our nuclear defense. And during the Cold War, there were like 3 radar lines through Canada. There was the DEW line. The DEW line was the distant early warning line, which kind of ran through the middle of Canada, and it was just a line of radars. And then there was also the North Warning Line, which was like the northern part of Canada. And then there was like another one kind of in the middle. And now they phased all those out, including the DEW line. And now there's just the northern line that goes basically along all of Canada's northern border with the Arctic Ocean. And those radars, they're short and long range, and they would be used to detect any incoming missiles from Russia. So Canada is very important for U.S. nuclear defense. Joan Julia says, "Pray all, stay home, relax, snack, watch a good movie, sleep well, be well. Let us give thanks. Happy New Year, Greg, and all here." Thank you, Joan Julia. I appreciate that. Thank you so much, and Happy New Year to you. I wish you good health, and may all your dreams come true in 2024. Paprika Pauline says, "Love your face, Greg." Thank you, Paprika. I appreciate that. And then, next year we got the election. In addition to all these war fronts, we have the election. We have the election to deal with, which is going to be insane. So, 2024 is just going to be absolutely crazy, I think. North Korea spinning up another light water reactor. They're going to be enriching more nuclear fuel for their missiles. Iran is going to be unveiling an ICBM, and they're tripling their uranium production. By the way, if you missed my update this morning, I'll just read to you about this. Very concerning. So let me see here. Iran is tripling their uranium production, guys. Okay, that is insane. Okay, they're tripling their uranium production. Let me see. I'm just trying to see where I wrote down the information about that. Looks like I lost it. Oh, and in case you missed my update from earlier, I think it was this morning, U.S. intelligence officials have determined that the Chinese spy balloon that flew across the U.S. this year used an American internet service provider to communicate, according to 2 current and 1 former U.S. official familiar with the assessment. The balloon connected to a U.S.-based company, according to the assessment, to send and receive communications from China, primarily related to its navigation. Officials familiar with the assessment said it found that the connection allowed the balloon to send burst transmissions or high bandwidth collections of data over short periods of time. Okay, so a Chinese spy balloon, the one that flew over the country this year, used an American ISP to communicate. Okay, that's pretty concerning. Okay, that's very concerning. And Venezuela has deployed soldiers to its eastern Caribbean coast as neighbor Guyana received a warship from the UK amid a dispute over the Essequibo region. So Venezuela is deploying thousands of soldiers to the eastern part of Venezuela because the UK is sending a warship. They sent it there today, and how long it's going to be there and what it's going to be doing, we don't know. But it's the UK is sending one of their warships, or they just sent it, the HMS Trent. They're sending it there to basically protect Guyana because Venezuela was threatening to invade Guyana. Okay. So this warship just has machine guns, though. It doesn't fire missiles, apparently. It looks like it just has miniguns and some 30 millimeter chain guns. It's kind of more of like a Coast Guard cutter. But this is the warship that the UK is sending to Guyana today. Okay, HMS Trent is the name of it. Next month is Kim Jong Un's birthday. Oh, thanks for telling me about that. January 8th. Tell the boy, what's your thoughts, Greg, on an attack on the homeland, EMP, civil war? Uh, yeah, I mean, I think all of those are possible. As far as an EMP goes, I know that a lot of people, particularly in the prepping community, that's a big thing, is that there's going to be an EMP. Um, and in my opinion, if they're going to go to the length of using an EMP, they're not just going to do an EMP by itself. They're going to follow up with a nuclear strike. So I think it's a faulty way of thinking that a lot of preppers have, that they prepare for an EMP, but they don't prepare for the nuclear war. Okay. You know, our enemies are not going to launch or they're not going to use an EMP against us without a follow up attack. It just wouldn't make any sense, um, because we would detect where the EMP came from and we would immediately retaliate. I mean, so if they're going to go to that extreme of using an EMP against us, unless there was some way that they could detonate the EMP without, giving away the location, which some people theorize that North Korea has EMPs on their satellites, their spy satellites. But even then, we would probably know where it came from, and then we would just annihilate whoever sent that EMP or whoever detonated it, whatever. So if they're going to go to the extreme of using an EMP against us, they're going to also use nuclear weapons in a massive decapitation strike. I personally don't believe that an EMP would ever be used by itself because, like I said, we would find out who did it and we would immediately respond with everything we have. So if somebody's going to be stupid enough to do an EMP against us, they're going to make sure that they really hit us hard, because an EMP by itself, a lot of people would go crazy and there would be, a lot of panic and a lot of people would die just from the EMP alone. But imagine if you follow up after the EMP with a full scale nuclear attack, that would just be totally devastating, and also a cyber attack at the same time, which, by the way, China has already set up back doors in all of our critical infrastructure here in America. The director of national intelligence said a few weeks ago that they already set up back doors in all of our critical infrastructure. And at any time, China can go into our power plants and our dams and pipelines, and they can overload circuits. They have access to programmable logic controllers and SCADA systems, which basically gives them the same type of control as like a power plant operator or something like that. So they could, open floodgates. They could, or spillways, close spillways. They could, overheat things. They can open valves. They can, shut down turbines, whatever. And so the director of national intelligence said that China has backdoors in basically all of our critical infrastructure. So if there were any kind of a major escalation, and I'm not just speculating on this, this was stated by the director of national intelligence a few weeks ago. Okay, he said if there were a war with China over Taiwan, China would immediately go through the back doors and wreak havoc on our critical infrastructure. Okay. So, that's one thing I'm very concerned about. And, we've been very lucky as far as cyber attacks go. We've been very lucky here in the Western world. I mean, we haven't had a major cyber attack in quite we have a lot of these like ransomware attacks and stuff like that. But we haven't had like a real cyber attack that would take out our power grid. We haven't had that yet, and we're really lucky that we haven't. But it's gonna come. Okay, it's overdue. We're overdue for that. it's gonna come. It's inevitable, guys. Okay, I personally think that we're gonna see a massive cyber attack that's gonna take down our power grid either entirely or partially. Maybe one region of the country is going to lose power. Um, oh, by the way, we have a nuclear war command and control plane just coming in now from the Gulf of Mexico, and it has no flight information. It doesn't have a name or anything. Look at this. It's coming in from the Gulf of Mexico. So we're overdue for a cyber attack, guys. And the best analogy I could give to you is the 2003 Northeast blackout. I don't know if any of you guys remember that, but in 2003, I remember it because it happened where I lived in upstate New York. I was, working at my job, and then suddenly the power went out and all the lights were off. Nothing was working. That was the 2003 Northeast blackout, and it was caused by a high voltage transmission line failure. Okay, just one power line caused the entire Northeast and southern Canada to lose power. Millions and millions of people. Okay, pretty much all of southern Ontario lost its power. New York, New England, parts of the Midwest. So something like that I could see happening. I could totally see something like that happening for sure. And that's what I'm very concerned about. And we're overdue for that. Like I said, we've been very lucky. Mostly all these cyber attacks have been going after personal data like, your PII, your personally identifiable information, but they haven't really been going after our grid. And that's what I'm concerned about is they're going to try to shut down our grid either entirely or partially, like the Northeast blackout, something like that. I could see that happening next year. So, Bradley Moore, how's it going, Bradley Moore? Hope you're doing well. Tommy Stacker says PPP. Alan Ross says I lost power. Adventures with Beth says Berkshire County in Massachusetts too. So I'm assuming you mean Berkshire County lost power from the Northeast blackout. Theon44 says just retired as LEO, and just because it's newer technology, no power means no transmission. CB radio, I already adapted it to a cigarette lighter power supply. That's a good idea. Very good idea. And congratulations on your retirement. That's awesome, man. Hope you enjoy it. You definitely earned it. See, I'm gonna just start reading some more stuff about Israel here. Some more detailed information about Israel. IDF spokesman Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari says the Israeli military carried out major airstrikes in recent days against Hezbollah in hopes of pushing the terror group away from Israel's northern border. In the last 2 days, we completed a series of widespread strikes by fighter jets, tanks, and artillery on Hezbollah targets, Hagari said in an evening press conference. Targets were hit in all areas of Lebanon, including rocket launch sites, military compounds, and terror infrastructure. Oh, yeah, I already read about that earlier. We continue to carry out intense attacks and damage the Hezbollah deployment that was near the northern border. He says the terror group's deployment in southern Lebanon no longer looks the same as it did on October 6th, and it will never be the same again. Pretty interesting. German Chancellor Olaf Scholz held a phone call today with Minister and War Cabinet member Benny Gantz, in which Scholz underscored the need to protect civilians and avoid regional conflict. The German federal government says in a statement, Gantz informed the chancellor of the latest developments in Gaza and on Israel's northern border. So, more of these Western leaders keep you know, keep throwing Israel under the bus and making it seem like Israel is just doing nothing but killing civilians. That's like all they make it seem like Israel is just some bloodthirsty country and they're just out there killing civilians left and right. That's just a bunch of BS and lies. Um, it's not true. It's simply not true. Mike Subchinsky, thank you for this super chat. I remember that I had a dog named Tootie. She was a mini dachshund during that 2003 blackout. That's so cool. I used to have a dachshund. She passed away, but dachshunds are awesome. I love dachshunds. Uh, a lot of people, they go for the big dogs, but I think dachshunds are super cool dogs. They're very intelligent and they have a really good nose. They have, I think, the second most sensitive nose of all dogs, besides bloodhounds. So you have bloodhounds are number one, and dachshunds are number two. They're very intelligent dogs, and only thing is they're kind of independent. So if you're the type of person that wants like a lap dog that's going to cuddle with you all the time, that's the dachshunds are not good for you. But if you want like a dog that's going to be kind of more like a cat, then dachshunds are great. Kathy Hunt says the biggest Islamic mosque was built in Fort McMurray, Alberta, biggest one in Canada by the oil sands. I just learned this. It's online. Wow. That's really interesting that they would build a giant mosque all the way up there in the middle of nowhere. Very strange. I wonder why they would do that. I guess maybe because it's so remote. Very interesting. Ingrid Perez, thank you so much for the super chat, and I hope you had a great Christmas, and I wish you a very happy New Year and all the best in 2024. Good health and wealth. Hi, Greg. Hope you had an amazing Christmas. Just so you know, I still watch and support you every day. Thanks as always for all the info. Love you, brother in Christ. P.S. Can you read this in Polish? Yeah, I can read in Polish. It would be difficult for me to just translate that for you, though. But yeah, I can read. I can read Polish. I can speak it. I can understand it. Basically, like a fluent speaker. Sandy Fetty, thank you for the donation. I got a beagle strong nose and had dachshunds. Yeah, beagles are also very similar to dachshunds. Beagles are really cool. Also very cool dogs. Beagles and dachshunds, I love them. I just think they're really interesting because they're so small and feisty. Um, it's always cool to see those small dogs like with such a big heart, Um, Susan Campbell says my dog's name is Jericho. Oh, speaking of Jericho, there's a really good TV show from back in the day called Jericho. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but if you haven't seen Jericho, I highly recommend you order it. I don't know if you can watch it on Netflix or you might be able to find it on Amazon Prime. But I highly recommend the TV show Jericho from the early 2000s. Very good show. They only made one season, I think it was, or was it two? One or two seasons. They didn't continue it, which is really sad. I think because there was too much truth in it, and it was like a prepper show. If you're a prepper, you'll love Jericho. It's amazing, amazing show. Yes, it was on CBS, and it ended abruptly. Yep. I've heard that they may bring back Jericho. I heard they made some comic books on Jericho as well. You can get the comic books, but they might bring it back. I heard. So thank you again, Ingrid Perez, for the super chat, and Happy New Year. Let me see. I'm going to go through some more headlines here. So for those of you guys just tuning in, major breaking news tonight. The U.S. has launched airstrikes on Syria. They've attacked Iranian militias in Syria. Apparently, there's casualties, and they destroyed a convoy heading into Syria from Iraq. And we also have major breaking news coming in from Ukraine. Last night, Ukraine was targeted by a massive amount of Russian missiles, the most amount of missiles fired at Ukraine since the war started. And also, one of the missiles flew into Polish territory. Okay, so far, we're hearing that at least 30 people have been killed in Ukraine. So very sad situation there right before New Year's. Just absolutely crazy, guys. That's just so twisted. Right before the start of the year, everybody's thinking about celebration. I'm sure a lot of you guys are gonna go out and do something fun tomorrow or Sunday, and Ukrainians get bombarded with over 125 missiles. I mean, it's just ridiculous. It really makes me mad. um Ukrainian Air Force spokesman Yuri Ignat told AFP that this was a record number of missiles and the most massive missile attack of the war, okay, excluding the early days of constant bombardment. So this is just crazy, guys. Russia tried to overwhelm Ukraine's air defenses across most major cities, launching a wave of Shahed drones, followed by missiles of numerous types fired from planes and from Russian-controlled territory. So they fired like a whole bunch of different types of missiles. And Russia is saying that they intercepted 13 missiles fired from Ukraine towards Belgorod. I don't know how true that is, but that's crazy if that's true. So the war is just escalating over there in Ukraine. It's just getting worse and worse. Josh says they canceled Jericho after the first season, but fans sent thousands of pounds of nuts to get it renewed for a half season 2. Thousands of pounds of nuts. That's interesting. I'm a little confused by that, but and I want to just mention the 100,000 subscriber giveaway. I'm going to be doing that next week. You can still enter into the giveaway if you haven't done so yet. You got to go to my community page and you scroll down and you'll see my let me see if I can show you guys here. You'll see my post about it. You can still enter, but I'm going to actually do the giveaway next week. I've just been very preoccupied with the holidays. So if you go to NYPrepper on YouTube, okay, you click on community here and you scroll down and you'll see my post from 2 weeks ago, 100,000 subscriber giveaway right here. That's what you want to look for. It's about 5 or 7 posts down. Okay. So you can still enter if you're interested. If not, no big deal. But I'll read off the winners next week after the new year. Amy King says, wow, craziness popping off left and right, but nobody has a clue what's going on. It's daily escalations around every corner. Yeah, it's just been absolutely insane. Deidre Fat, thank you for tuning in. Have a happy new year as well. Thank you for the New Year's wishes. K. Paul says Jericho was from 2006. It was a drama and it's on Paramount Plus. Yeah, you can also order the DVDs. You can order the DVDs. So that's another thing you can do. Jericho would be a big hit now. Yeah, it probably would be. Yeah, you're right. Jericho is one of the OG, the original prepping shows and movies before the days of Netflix. So I'm just going to catch up on some of the news from over Christmas because I didn't talk to you guys in like 2 weeks. I know a lot of you guys probably watched my updates, but I want to just emphasize over Christmas, we had some major escalations also. We had the Iranian drone that hit a cargo ship. It was actually a tanker ship that was hauling some chemicals, and an Iranian drone hit that tanker just 200 miles off the coast of India. So India's not happy about it. India is launching an investigation into that right now. But it looks like Iran launched a drone from their territory at this chemical tanker just 200 miles offshore from India. India deployed 4 warships into the Arabian Sea, guys. Okay. 4 warships. Okay. In addition to all the American and British and French and Italian warships and Spanish warships, India is now deploying 4 warships to the Middle East, okay, to the Arabian Sea after that incident. And those are special warships with guided missiles, okay? So that's pretty serious, guys, for India to send their guided missile warships to the Arabian Sea, okay? So it's really getting crazy with those attacks on all the different cargo ships and container ships. It's getting out of hand. It's insane what's going on there. Let's see what else over Christmas. I'm trying to remember some of the things from over Christmas. Just scrolling back through some of my notes here. Let's see. Let's see here. Oh, there was a 3.8 magnitude earthquake near the New Madrid fault line a couple days ago. A 3.8 magnitude 3.8 magnitude earthquake hit part of eastern Arkansas on Wednesday. The earthquake struck Mississippi County near the town of Etowah at 11:46 a.m. This was this past Wednesday, 2 days ago, actually, according to the USGS. So a 3.8 magnitude earthquake in the New Madrid area. That's pretty concerning, guys. Okay. That's pretty concerning. And experts believe that there's a 25 to 40% chance of a magnitude 6.0 or greater earthquake in the New Madrid fault line in the next 50 years. That's a pretty high chance. We also had some word that F-16 fighter jets may already be operating in Ukraine. This was reported by Newsweek, citing a source in the U.S. government. So that's some pretty serious news. We had Palestinian protesters blocking the entrances to JFK Airport in New York City and LAX Airport in Los Angeles. and that was coordinated. They did it at the same time. I think, what was that, Tuesday morning? Um, they blocked the Van Wyck Expressway, and they also blocked Century Boulevard in L.A. So these Palestinian protesters are getting more and more aggressive. They're doing some more serious type of protests, or whatever you want to call them. Yeah, so this looks like one of the nuclear war command and control planes that was in the air earlier. Uh, Looks like it's coming back in from the Gulf. Okay, one of the 4 that were in the air. And we have Forte 15 peeling out and going back to, it looks like it's going back to Sicily now. So for now, it's leaving the region. So I think these protests are going to get more and more intense. I think they're going to turn into riots, basically. And, I'm really concerned about that. And the New York City Police Department is on high alert this coming New Year's Eve. They're on high alert right now. They're deploying extra police officers. So something could happen in New York City, guys. The EU and the FBI, the DHS, and the National Counterterrorism Center have issued warnings about terror attacks this coming winter. So we could see some attacks this coming New Year's, guys. Yeah, the New Madrid earthquakes in 1811 were insane. They caused the Mississippi River to run the other way, to go the other way. So, yeah, the New Madrid earthquakes are no joke. And that's something that could happen. Also, in addition to the New Madrid, we're overdue for a massive solar flare that would take out our power. We're overdue for that. We're overdue for a massive cyber attack. We're overdue for a lot of things. You know, so just make sure you guys are getting prepared. Michelle White says, what would happen if an EMP didn't go higher enough? If you don't mind me asking, I'm not sure what you mean by that. If it didn't go higher enough, if you could clarify that, I'll answer your question. Any news about the new U.S. military bases in the Philippines? Seems like it's really bad news for China. I don't know anything new about that, but the bases are basically under construction right now. So, they're going to be ready within a few months probably to start accepting U.S. military aviation. So, yeah. Kathy Hunt says, we have so many enemies, immigrants in our country today. It's scary. Woke movement has destroyed us. Yeah, it definitely has. I mean, it's destroyed our military. It's destroyed our culture. Look at what our government is focusing on. We have all these war fronts opening up, right? We have Korea, we have Ukraine, we have Israel, Venezuela now, and I'm sure there's going to be something else opening up soon. China and Taiwan, and our leaders, instead of dealing with these problems, they're doing the minimum necessary, and instead they're focusing on just total BS stuff like climate change and other stuff that I can't say here on YouTube. But going back to the woke thing, they're basically focusing on transforming America into a woke country. That's what they want to do. They want to fundamentally change America. And that's, Obama said it himself when he I don't know if you guys are old. Some of you guys are old enough to remember. Some of you may not be old enough to remember when Obama was running for president in 2008. He specifically said he wanted to fundamentally transform America. Some of you guys might remember that. I remember it clearly, like it was yesterday. Um, but that's what they want to do. They want to fundamentally transform America, turn America into France or Canada or Spain or, one of these liberal countries where you can't buy a diesel truck, you can't own firearms, you can't celebrate Christmas in public, just a bunch of crap. Son of Hearn says same in England, Greg. Yeah, it's all over the world now. This woke thing, it's spreading across the world. I think it's part of the New World Order agenda for sure. In addition to the wars, they want to weaken us from within. They want to destroy the nuclear family, which they've already succeeded at doing pretty much. They want to eliminate God from our lives. They want to, you know, uh, basically everything that's good, they want to make it wrong, and all the wrong things, they want to make it good. So, we have U.S. senators now calling for prison reform where they would literally release felons, violent felons, hardened criminals, and just release them out on the streets and forgive them. And it's just insanity. Any update on Iran's nuclear facilities? No updates on that. I mean, pretty much it is what it is. They're spinning up. They're tripling their production. Um, they're tripling their production. So that's a major problem. They're going to have an ICBM next year. So that's a major problem. So if, let's say, Trump or whoever gets nominated, if they win the election and they beat Biden, they're going to have to deal with a whole bunch of problems, because you're going to have Iran with nuclear weapons and ICBMs. You're going to have North Korea with more ICBMs that are solid fueled and more nuclear weapons, because they're spinning up a second nuclear reactor to build or to enrich more uranium. You're going to have the situation with Ukraine and Russia even worse. You're going to have more war in the Middle East. Israel's going to be fighting on multiple fronts. They're going to be fighting against Hezbollah, against Iran, Yemen. So whoever becomes the next president is going to inherit a lot of problems. Sandy Fetty says, I work at a prison and they said we have to treat them like they are on a resort. Wow, that's crazy. That's insane. In California, starting January 1st, only electric lawnmowers, leaf blowers, and chainsaws. That's so insane. Just absolutely insane. I know their generators are illegal in California also, and I think also in Canada. Diesel engines, I think, are going to be illegal in California soon as well. It's just insane. Mud and Munitions, good to see you. I hope you're having a great Friday. Kinkoy says, Greg, I agree. Michael Gale says, some people love Obama and Biden. I don't get it. K. Paul says, mark of the beast. Yeah, I mean, the mark of the beast can come at any moment. It's the conditions are perfect now for the Antichrist to come on the scene and be the peacemaker. I mean, look at the craziness going on in the Middle East now. The Bible says that there's going to be this peace treaty in the Middle East, and the peace treaty is going to be violated. I mean, it's possible that this peace treaty could come about very soon because of all these wars now in the Middle East, or potentially that peace treaty was already signed when Trump was in office. If you guys remember, he made that deal of the century. I don't know if you guys remember that, but it was actually signed by Netanyahu, the deal of the century. So that could have been the start of the tribulation for all we know, and we're halfway through. Who knows? So what's going on, Joe Romanino? Good to see you, man. I hope you're doing well. Good to see you in here. Wish I was hanging out with you this New Year's, working with you. That would be fun. I haven't stepped foot in a establishment in a while. Michigan governor is pushing the electric thing on us by 2030. Yeah, Michigan is also they have some crazy leaders there. They still have I think they still have a split legislature though, but their governor is nuts. Diva's mom says, "Love you, Greg, my brother in Christ, and all my prepper family here. Thank you for all you do." No problem, Diva's mom, and Happy New Year. I wish you all the best in 2024. Good health. Let me see. I'm going to go through some more headlines here from earlier in the week because there was just so much news this week. Oh, this was an interesting thing. Biden is apparently building an underground bunker in his Delaware home. There was some documentation released showing that a contractor applied for a building permit in Newcastle County, Delaware, and they were trying to get a building permit to build a top secret retaining wall in Biden's house. And Zuckerberg is building a bunker in Hawaii, a full-fledged underground bunker. So they must know something. You know, they're not going to be building these bunkers for no reason. So that was an interesting bit of news that came out. Let me see what other stuff. Israel assassinated the IRGC general who was responsible for logistics with the Iranian proxies, and the Iranian president said Israel would pay the price. So that's pretty concerning. Let's see what else here. Apparently, Nikolai Patrushev ordered the assassination of Yevgeny Prigozhin, according to the Wall Street Journal, citing Western intelligence and a former Russian intelligence officer. Taiwan is going to be extending their compulsory military service from 4 months to a year. So that's another sign that Taiwan is preparing for war with China. Let's see what else. A Greek Orthodox church was attacked by Hezbollah in northern Israel. So that's pretty serious. And what else here? Just going through all the news from the past week. And the U.S. one service member was in critical condition following an attack at the Erbil Air Base earlier in the week. Apparently, 3 U.S. personnel were injured, and one service member was in critical condition, guys. Critical condition. Okay? And, you know, our administration is doing the bare minimum, absolute bare minimum. They're just not doing enough. So 3 U.S. servicemen were injured and one critically injured over the Christmas holiday, and that was in Erbil. They attacked our base in Erbil. Glenn Hikewe, Happy New Year from Medicine Hat, Alberta. Wow. Where's Medicine Hat? That sounds so familiar. Is that like northern Alberta? Thanks for watching. And Alberta's a beautiful area. I've always wanted to visit there. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. And Happy New Year to you. Counterparty Risk, how's it going? Mud and Munitions, much love and respect. NYPrepper, wishing you all the best in the new year. Keep up the amazing work. Thank you, Mud and Munitions. I appreciate it. And I have to catch up on your video, the one that you shouted me out in. I have to watch that. I've been very busy. I'm going to catch up on that. Happy New Year to you, and wish you all the best and good health and success. Amanda Moss, how's it going? I hope you're having a great night. So we have a lot of these elites building bunkers now, guys. A lot of these elites are building bunkers. Ukraine destroyed that Russian landing ship a few days ago on the Black Sea coast. They actually destroyed 2 ships, most likely with an American Storm Shadow. So let's see what else here. And there's just so much news going on. Oh yeah, there was a New York City police officer injured in a Palestinian protest on Christmas Eve. There was a level 3 mobilization called by the NYPD. One officer was injured. So that's pretty serious. So that's pretty much all the major breaking news that I have. Let's just see. I'm going to read to you guys a little more about this missile strike on Ukraine. Just absolutely insane here. Looks like they used 8 Tu-22 bombers, 5 Kinzhal ballistic missiles launched from MiG-31K fighter jets, 18 of their Bear bombers using 90 KH-101 cruise missiles. So just a massive amount of Russian strategic aircraft was used in this attack. Looks like S-300 and S-400 and Iskander-M short-range ballistic missile systems. Just insane, guys. Absolutely crazy. Let's see. I'm going to just start reading some stuff off here. In Kyiv, 9 people were killed and 30 others were injured as of 6:30 p.m., according to the Kyiv City Military Administration. Several apartment buildings, warehouses, an office center, a residential house, and a metro station were damaged in different neighborhoods of the capital. In Dnipro, 6 civilians are confirmed to have been killed, and at least 30 were injured as of around 4:30 p.m., Governor Serhiy Lysyk reported. A shopping center and a maternity hospital were hit in the attack there. At the time of the missile attack on the maternity ward in Dnipro, there were 12 women in labor. Additionally, there were 4 newborns. No casualties were reported among them. Wow, guys. I mean, just insane. And there's people out there who believe that Putin is a Christian. Is this something a Christian would do? Attack a maternity hospital, a shopping center, a mall. I mean, and then you'll have these people say, well, it wasn't a real attack. That was staged. Ukraine staged it. It wasn't real. Okay, yeah, hundreds of attacks are all staged. Ukraine is just blowing up their own maternity wards left and right just to create false flags. It's just absolutely insane what some people believe. Mama of Six says Putin is bad. Yeah, he's very bad. He could be Gog from Ezekiel 38 and 39. John Hoover says the death toll in Ukraine is 30 plus from the rocket attacks, all civilian targets. Yeah, they were all civilian targets. Yep, that's right. I don't think there were any military targets whatsoever. It's just insane. I hope you're doing well, John. Hope everything's going well with you. Um, so, just going through some more headlines here. In Odessa, 4 people were killed and 27 injured. The attack damaged 21 residential buildings. Due to human casualties caused by the Russian missile attack, mourning will be declared tomorrow in Odessa. Wow, so they're going to do like a public funeral service, I guess, or not funeral, but like mourning, because so many people were killed. 8 people are known to have been killed in Zaporizhia as of 5:30 p.m. The regional governor Yuri Malashko reported. In Kharkiv, there were 20 strikes, killing 3 people, injuring at least 13. 1 person was killed and 30 people were injured in Lviv in western Ukraine, where residential buildings and 2 schools were damaged. So absolutely insane. Absolutely insane, guys. So I don't have any more breaking news. I'm going to just go through the chat, see what you guys are saying, but that's all the latest headlines that I have for now. If anything breaks, I will do some more updates tomorrow. I'm not sure yet if I'm going to do a New Year's Eve live stream or not. I was debating on doing that. What do you guys think if I were to do that? Or maybe you guys just want to celebrate with your families. That's fine too. In all honesty, I probably want to do that, but if there's strong interest, I might consider doing a New Year's Eve live stream. Beverly says temperatures just dived here in Tennessee. Yeah, temperatures are dropping up here in PA also, but it's going to be warm like all week. There's no big pattern change coming anytime soon. It looks like it's going to be a warm winter again, and that's because of the El Nino. We're in the middle of a strong El Nino, so that's why it's so warm. Rodney Middleton says, Greg, I need new leather to make that sheath for your knife. Have you got any? I have to check your email. Yeah, we can talk about it over the email. I've just been super busy, but we can discuss that over email. Mud and Munitions says, I would be down to watch. Staying home this year, things are too crazy. Reverence says, emergency alerts seem to never end lately. So much crazy stuff going on. Aldo says, I'm not going out with all that going on. Kathy Hunt says we have no snow in northern Alberta. It looks like spring. Wow. Yeah, that's how it's here too in northern Pennsylvania. There's no snow, there's no ice. Um, normally by now it should be like bitter cold and snow everywhere, which, I'm actually on one side I miss it because I like a lot of winter sports. I like to go off-roading in the snow. I like to go snowshoeing. Um, and hiking in the snow and stuff like that. But honestly, I like the fact that I can go outside without bundling up like crazy and without minus 20 wind chills hitting me when I step outside to take the trash out or check the mail. That's a nice thing, or warm up my car for 30 minutes, or my truck. Um, so that's a nice thing. More time at the range too, because I go to outdoor ranges, and as you guys know, I'm a big firearms enthusiast. So not having everything frozen over allows me to access the range. If everything's covered in ice and snow, it's not feasible. So, but I definitely miss the snow. Rodney Middleton says, sounds good. John Hoover says, I stay in on New Year's as it's amateur night. That's funny. Posh says, I have a groundhog in PA that hasn't hibernated yet. Wow. That's just insane. Tammy Nichols says, report as much as I can. I definitely will. I'll definitely report as much as I can. Mud and Munition says, I'm excited to hear more about your 338 Lapua in the new year. What a rifle. Nice pickup. Thank you, Mud. I'm going to start loading up some rounds for the 338 this week in the coming days. Hopefully next week I can get out and start doing some load development. Because for 338 Lapua, you got a hand load. Otherwise, you're going to spend hundreds of dollars just zeroing it, So I have some Barnes LRX 280 grain and 300 grain Nosler Accubon that I'm going to hand load in the coming days and try to do some hand loading. And I got a bunch of tests I'm going to do. I'm going to do a 1,000-yard penetration test with some tungsten core bullets that I got a hold of from Buffman Range. He's another YouTuber. He does armor testing. So I got some tungsten core I'm going to load up and see if I can penetrate through some level 4 ceramic plates at different distances. That's going to be in the coming months. So lots of stuff. I just got my 4570 Marlin 1895 back from my local gunsmith. He threaded the muzzle, and so I've been shooting it with my suppressor. I got a bunch of cool videos planned for that. Just got to edit them and stuff. I actually picked up some subsonic 4570 ammo, and I shot it today, and it was just crazy quiet. For a lever gun, it's just insane. It was crazy quiet. So I'll be doing a video on that soon. Twista Sista says, heard it's better to have a diesel engine in case of a disaster. There will be more trucks than cars on the road, and diesel will be more accessible. Yeah, to a certain extent, that's true. Yeah, also diesel engines are more forgiving because diesel engines, the way that they operate on compression. So you don't need a spark plug. It's self-igniting basically based on the compression in the cylinder. So they're more durable. You can throw even heating oil in them. And even engine oil will burn in a diesel engine. If any of you guys get bored, just look up runaway diesel engine, go on YouTube or, any of your favorites. YouTube's probably the best. Just type in runaway diesel engine. And that's crazy. That's when the gaskets on the cylinders wear away and the engine oil gets into the cylinder, and the diesel engine will start burning up the engine oil, and and you can't shut the engine off at that point because it's sucking in the engine oil and burning it like fuel. So you have to wait until it burns off all the oil, but it will literally burn, engine oil. Thick engine oil will burn in a diesel engine. Um, so that's another big advantage, is they burn pretty much anything. The problem with modern diesel engines, though, is that modern diesel engines have the DEF, and they have the special carbon trap to capture the extra carbon based on the EPA requirements now. So if you don't maintain that system, it could cause a failure of your engine. And if we're talking about a post apocalyptic situation, unless you're an auto mechanic or you're just very good with your vehicle and you know it and you know how to fix it, that could be an issue if you don't maintain the DEF and the carbon trap. That could cause issues. But like an old diesel engine from like the 80s or something, or 90s, with a carburetor, that's with no computer in it, that would be like the ideal apocalypse vehicle. Because you have no computer, no spark plugs, can pretty much run on any kind of fuel. You can dump literally oil and it'll burn it. Yeah, diesel particulate filter. Yes, that's right. Yep. So like the newer diesels, the modern diesels, they're not the same as the ones from 10, 20, 30 years ago. They're more complex. They have all these different emissions components, with the DEF. And then you have the computer that monitors the throttle and all that. And so that could affect reliability. So but as far as like EMP, everybody's worried about, oh, if I have an EMP, my car's not going to run. I better get, an EMP shield, or I better make sure I have a vehicle that has a carburetor. I don't know. First of all, if there's an EMP, where are you going to be driving? I don't know about you guys, but if there's an EMP, I'm not going anywhere. Okay. I'm staying home, and I'm going to turn my home into a fortress. I'm not going to be just driving around for the fun of it. Okay. So, second of all, EMPs, everybody thinks that it's like, an EMP is like, it's going to affect the entire country and everybody's going to not be able to drive their cars. It's hard to say what would actually happen with an EMP. There's a lot of variables. What kind of EMP are they going to use? What altitude are they going to detonate it? We've never actually tested, the effects of an EMP extensively. We did a few tests in the Pacific in the 50s and 60s. We did a bunch of EMP tests, but nobody's lived through an EMP. Nobody's taken a nuclear warhead and detonated it 300 miles above the US to actually see what would happen. Will it take out the power? What's the extent of the damage? Is it going to damage vehicles? Is it going to damage houses? Nobody's tested that. So it's all just speculation. And a lot of people have this fear that, oh, I better get an EMP shield. Otherwise, I'm not going to be able to drive after an EMP. Well, where are you going to drive, unless you're bugging out? And even then, I wouldn't suggest that, because you're going to be a target. If you're like the only car on the road or the only truck, if nobody's vehicles are working and you're the only one with a vehicle that works, you know how many people are going to want to take that vehicle from you? You're driving down the highway and there's nothing but stalled vehicles everywhere. Somebody's going to try to take your vehicle. Someone's going to be shooting at you. Someone's going to put out 2x4s with nails on them. They're going to try to ambush you. So yeah, it would be absolutely stupid to just suddenly drive around after an EMP. Even if you survived it, your vehicle survived it, it would just be the dumbest thing to do. Um, you're better off just staying home and bugging in. So that's my whole thought about that. I mean, I think that people freak out too much about this whole EMP thing, and oh, I need to make sure my vehicle is EMP proof. Where are you going to go? Where are you going to go after an EMP? You're not going anywhere realistically. Okay. And if you have stalled vehicles all over the place, how are you going to even drive anywhere? Just imagine, like, let's say you're in a big city and you have a plan of bugging out of the city, right? And suddenly there's an EMP and you have literally like tens of thousands of vehicles that stall out in the middle of all the major highways. And those cars are now dead, and they're just literally 3 to 5,000 pound weights that are just sitting on these highways. How are you going to get through all that? How are you going to get through, even if you have a giant truck, and you can force your way through? Eventually, somebody's going to catch up to you and try to take your vehicle. Um, it's just, I think that people overthink that whole topic and obsess about it a little too much, instead of focusing on other things like having enough food, having enough water, having a renewable supply of water, having preparations for nuclear war, making sure you have a fallout shelter that you can access, and bring food to. That's more important than, oh, I need to have an EMP shield. I need to have a carbureted vehicle so I can drive around after the apocalypse. That's kind of more like fantasy than reality, in my opinion. I mean, it's obviously a good thing to have. I'm not saying that it's bad. I mean, if you can access that and have that, it's great. But it's not like, you know the end of the world if your vehicle stalls out because of an EMP. It's really not that important. Um, so just focus on the basics. Food, water, fallout shelter, and some firearms for self defense and hunting. I mean, that's just like the bare bones. And forget about EMP shields. Forget about that whole thing with, oh, I need a vehicle so I can drive around after the apocalypse. Forget about that. Okay, all that energy and time and money that you put into that, it's just not worth it. You're better off just investing in food storage, because food is really the most important thing for a prepper. Having enough food is the most important thing. Okay, you can have thousands of rounds of ammo. You can have 1985 diesel Bronco that's completely immune to an EMP. You could have a great bug out location, a bunker, a fallout shelter, but if you don't have enough food, all that is just pointless. So, but having a fallout shelter is very important, especially the times that we live in right now. Look at what's going on, guys. North Korea, they're building another nuclear reactor so they can build more weapons grade plutonium. They just tested a solid fueled missile. So that means they can launch this thing within seconds. They literally just push a button and launch. It's ready 24/7, 365. Okay, it doesn't need to be fueled up. Iran is tripling their uranium production. The situation in Ukraine. I mean, look at what's going on, guys. I mean, we're the closest we've ever been to nuclear war, and nobody's preparing for it. Okay, people are focused on EMP shields instead of focusing on fallout shelters. And I'm not trying to, sound, rough or anything for those of you guys that were asking me about that. I'm just kind of just stating the truth. People are focusing on the wrong things. Um, you know, because EMP shield it's great, but it's not going to save your life. It's not going to It's not going to really do that much for you. See here. Just want to check something here. Stacy C says, I'm watching Damascus and the Temple Mount myself. Yeah, all these attacks on Damascus are another sign that we're heading towards the tribulation. Aldo Schmedek says, protection, fallout, water, food, Bible are way more important. Exactly. I totally agree. Any binocular recommendations? Do I use them to hunt? No, I don't really use binoculars too much because I have a rifle scope and I have a range finder, so I usually use those. I probably should start using binoculars, but I actually have very good vision. Believe it, I'm not trying to like just suddenly make up some kind of excuse. I really have I have excellent vision. So unless I'm like hunting squirrels at 500 yards, I mean I can see a deer or bear or anything that size easily out to 500 yards just with my eyes. I have very good vision. Anybody that knows me, any of my friends will tell you that I have really good vision. Like, I'll be out or my family members, like I'll go out somewhere and I'll see things that most people don't see. Like I'll see like a hawk sitting on a tree like a mile away, like a couple of times just driving on the highway with family members or friends. I'll see like the weirdest things that most people don't see. So I was blessed with good vision, so I never really used binos, to be honest. But I probably should get into it. Any of the good companies like Vortex. I have a Vortex rangefinder, and Athlon and Vortex seem to be good in my experience. I've had really good experience with Athlon and really good experiences with Vortex so far. So I could recommend those two companies. Burris makes good stuff. I have some Burris scopes. I have two Burris scopes, one on my 4570 and then one on my 300 Ultra Mag. So Burris is great. I have multiple Athlon scopes. Highly recommend Athlon. Great company. Mud and Munitions says, now that would be a video squirrel at 1,000 yards, no scope, or is that 1,000 yards or 100 yards, no scope with the 338 Lapua? That would be crazy. Yeah, that would be insane. Oh, man. Taylor Evans says, I'm a retired infantryman. I get how war works and how chaotic people can be in a crisis. An EMP is more catastrophic than any bomb or ground invasion. Yeah, except a nuclear bomb or multiple nuclear bombs. But yeah, that's true. And thanks for sharing that information, and thanks for your sacrifices. Life Straw products are pretty decent for water filtration. I like the gallon size one for river water and individual size for barter. Yeah, Life Straws are great. Life Straw, Sawyer Mini. Just make sure you don't get them frozen, because if they freeze, they can get damaged. But they are really good to have. If a bomb dropped, wouldn't the animals be contaminated? Yes, animals would get irradiated to a certain extent. So you would have to be very careful with eating their meat. If you're going to hunt, you have to be careful with that, especially when you're skinning them. You'd have to be careful when you skin them so you don't contaminate the meat with the fallout. So you'd have to be very careful with that. But you could eat like a deer that was out in the radiation. You could eat it. As long as you process it properly and the fallout doesn't get on the meat, the meat's not going to stay radioactive forever. It's not like, Chernobyl or something. Radioactive fallout, it subsides after a few weeks. It's not actual plutonium that's, radioactive for thousands of years. It's just irradiated ash. So, it's not like people think like, oh, there's a nuclear war, the whole earth is going to be contaminated for hundreds of years. That's just, Hollywood. That's not reality. Um, we really don't even know what would happen after a nuclear war. Anybody that says they know what would happen after a nuclear war, myself included, nobody knows. Okay, nobody's lived through a nuclear war. Scientists have never had the opportunity to study the effects of a nuclear war. Okay, so everything is just speculation and educated guesses. That's all we can do. So anybody that tells you, oh, yeah, after a nuclear war, it's not survivable, it's going to be a Mad Max, and the whole world is going to go into a nuclear winter for 10 years, and we're going to be extinct. I mean, how do you know that? I mean, how do you really know that? That's just a guess. Teresa Mitchell says scientists said Tuesday is the closest record of the doomsday clock, 90 seconds to midnight. I think it was at 90 seconds to midnight for a while. 90 seconds to midnight since last year, I think, or the year before. But yeah, we're the closest now, according to the doomsday clock, that we've ever been towards nuclear war. Even more so than the Cuban Missile Crisis. That's what I was looking for. I was going to pull that up. I was going to pull that up for you guys. Let me see. I don't know if yeah. Right now we're at 90 seconds to midnight, but they didn't release the latest one for 2024. This is 2023. I don't think they released the latest one. So we're the closest we've ever been to nuclear war in history. Yeah, the update is on the 24th. Yeah, I'll definitely do a live update for sure. I'll definitely do a live update on the 24th for the Doomsday Clock update. That's a great idea. Thank you. I'll definitely do that. G. Delarue says, I have a small Faraday bag for my thermal scopes. That's what I have too. I also have a Faraday bag for my ham radios as well. Just keep it simple. Keep it simple. Mud and Munitions says you meant 500 yards. Are NVGs or thermals necessary, or put money into other stuff? Yeah, night vision or thermal is definitely good to have if you can afford it. My preference is actually thermal and not night vision, because unless you're going to be using the night vision to actually, mount onto a firearm, thermal is better just for observation purposes, because thermal, even if there's no heat anywhere, you can still kind of see what's going on and what the terrain looks like. Even if there's no heat signatures anywhere, the infrared, it bounces off of everything, so you can still get a lay of the area, even if there's no heat sources. But like night vision, you don't have that thermal advantage like the thermal has. Well, obviously, night vision, you're going to have a more crisp picture of the night, versus a thermal is going to be more kind of a general view of the terrain. I personally prefer thermal. If I could pick one or the other, unless I was mounting something on a firearm, then I would go night vision, because you need that crisp picture to know what you're shooting at. So it depends. So if my recommendation is, if it's going on a firearm, night vision. If it's just for observation, then go thermal. That's my opinion. John Hoover says if you want binoculars, get marine grade with compass and rangefinder. Cost about $300. Very rugged and waterproof. I'm gonna look into that. I think I've seen some of those. I'm definitely gonna look into that. Thank you. Yeah, I never got into binoculars simply because I have so much crap that I already carry when I go into the woods. I go hunting or whatever, or even like SHTF. There's so much crap that I already carry that it's like adding binoculars to that is just like another thing to carry. Plus, the terrain that I'm in, it's mostly forested terrain. So, I don't live in Wyoming. I live in Pennsylvania where it's either farms or forests. Um, so if you're in a farm area, then yeah, you have open terrain, but it's mostly forested. Pennsylvania's like 60 or 70% forested. So that's why I never really got into binoculars too much. Smoking Swamp says, I'm studying for my ham radio license for storm chasing. Oh, that's awesome, man. That's great. That's definitely a very good thing to have as a license. I don't have a ham radio license. I know how to use ham radios. I'm not an expert. I know the basics. But I would definitely encourage people to get a license if you can. Taylor Evans says some electronics will still work after an EMP. The more simple your electronics, the more likely they will work. The more sensitive chips will fry. Yeah, exactly. And we don't know what the effects are going to be exactly. Yeah, there's so many variables. That's why like the doomsday scenario of there's going to be an EMP and everything is going to go dark. We just don't know that that's going to happen that way. There could be some areas that go dark, some areas don't. Maybe cars are still going to work, maybe they won't. Maybe only electronics will get fried. I mean, we just don't know how it's going to play out. LB Rule says I have 3 sets of night vision binoculars. Kenneth Jackson says I live about half an hour east of the Mackinac Bridge, just 3 miles away from the lake in Hessel, Michigan. Is that the bridge that goes to the Upper Peninsula? That's a good area to be. That's a good area to be. Yeah, the northern part of Michigan, the Upper Peninsula, and the northern Lower Peninsula is a good area to be for SHTF. There's a lot of forested terrain, a low population, and you have a naturally cold climate, which keeps people out. Let's actually take a look at it. This is in my best bug out locations on my website. The northern Lower Peninsula and the Upper Peninsula, and also northern Wisconsin and northern Minnesota are good bug out locations. Obviously, these states are anti-firearms and they're liberal states. Michigan's not so bad. Wisconsin's not so bad, but Minnesota's very bad with the blue Democrats and everything. But like the northern Lower Peninsula and the Upper Peninsula are really good bug out locations. If you live in like Indiana, Illinois, Ohio, those are excellent spots. You get some property up here, and you got a lot of state forests, national forests here. It's mostly forested, as you can see. And the Upper Peninsula is just all state and national forests here. Lots of moose up here, so you got some game, wild game. And the snow and the winters here keep people away. Your average person is not going to want to go up there. 2K Gamer says Missouri is awesome with firearms, although it is a concealed carry and a carry state. Yeah, Missouri is one of the best for firearms. Chris Jolly says Florida is full, don't come here. Wisconsin has more guns than teeth. Yeah, Wisconsin, definitely a lot of firearms in Wisconsin, a lot of rednecks. Same thing with Michigan. Definitely, for sure. Wisconsin actually, once obviously out, like most places, that once you get outside of the cities, it's all rednecks. It's only recently that Wisconsin has been turning blue, but a lot of states have been turning blue across the country. It's not just there; it's everywhere. Um, whether that's organic or not, I don't know, but a lot of states are going blue, unfortunately. Yeah, Ohio is a great place. Southeastern Ohio, especially, is a good spot. What would I recommend somebody do with $100,000 now? Uh, Great question. $100,000. Man, that's a tough call. Uh, I don't know. It's hard for me to say. I don't want to tell somebody to do something and then they spend all their money. But honestly, if you have that much money at your disposal, I would try to think about strategically relocating to an area that's safe, away from big cities, with property. Um, that would be my number one thing to do. I've told that to a lot of people over the years, and that's the number one thing, is your location. Okay. As a prepper, your location is everything. Okay. If you live in an area like a big city in a heavy blue state like New York City or Los Angeles, or places like that, that's a very difficult place to be as a prepper. Number one, they're anti-freedom. You're not going to be able to prep, basically. And then number two, if things do go south and you're stuck in a big city full of Democrats and city people all around you that have no preparations and no skills, it's not going to be pleasant. So if you have $100,000, my recommendation is move out of the city if you live in a city. And if you don't, think about where you live and try to improve your location so you're in the best possible location. Even if you live in the countryside, it doesn't necessarily mean that you're in a good spot for SHTF, because you could be near a nuclear war target, you could be in a floodplain, you could be near a fault line, you could be near a volcano, you could be in Tornado Alley. So you have to consider all these different factors when you're relocating, strategically relocating. You have to consider natural disasters and man-made disasters, and you want to move away from nuclear war targets. That's critical. So that's my recommendation. Twista Sista says there's also elk in the Upper Peninsula. I didn't know that. I heard there were some elk up there, but I didn't know how many. That's interesting. Yeah, there's a lot of wildlife in the Upper Peninsula and northern Michigan, northern Wisconsin, northern Minnesota. Lots of different wildlife. There's also mountain lions up there and wolves. So you got to worry about that. October Wraith says I'd get a new dirt bike and a gold claim. That's a good idea. Devin Aw says if you're a Democrat, don't come to Ohio. Mud and Munition says that's my number one priority, getting out, making it happen soon. Yeah, as long as you have a plan, sometimes it can take a little bit of time. But, if you really want something to happen, nothing is impossible. People think that, oh, I'll never be able to leave the city because this is where my job is, or, I'm stuck here. I'll never be able to leave. I have a mortgage, whatever. If you want something to happen, you can make it happen. You just have to uh, you have to be dedicated, and you have to make a realistic plan on how you're going to get out. If your plan is, I'm going to get out of the city and I'm going to get out of the blue state that I live in, you just have to, make a plan. Okay. Where am I going to, and how am I going to get there? And set yourself up, first of all, save your money, pay off your debt, invest if you can, and think about your career, apply for different jobs, change careers if necessary, or try to apply for jobs in other places that you've never considered before. If you don't try, it's not going to happen. If you just sit there and say, oh, I'll never be able to leave, it's never going to happen, and it's not even worth trying, then yeah, of course it's not going to happen. But nothing is impossible. So I'm glad to hear, though, that Mud and Munitions, that you're trying to get out. Somebody said Mississippi has a lot of rednecks. I'm sure they do. Sure they do. Looks like Forte 15 is going back to Sicily now. It's going back to Sicily. So we have a U.S. Air Force plane going into Iraq now. That's interesting. Got a P-8 Poseidon here near the Strait of Hormuz. We still have that nuclear war command and control plane. Looks like it's heading back to San Francisco area, to Travis Air Base. My bug out is in a cave. Yeah, caves are a good option. Kathy Hunt says we have grizzlies, elk, moose, deer, bighorn sheep, lots of wildlife. That's awesome, Kathy. Yeah, Canada has a lot of wildlife. Democrats ruined our beautiful nation under God. Yeah, it's really sad. Like some of these states, like Maine or Colorado, California, Vermont, New York, Maryland. Some of these places, they're actually really beautiful places, and they've just gone totally crazy with the Democrats there. They're just like dictatorships. They ban diesel engines, they ban firearms, they ban just anything that's American, basically. I mean, it's really sad, these really beautiful places, which would otherwise be very good bug out locations too, like Maine, for example, or Vermont. Those would be really good bug out locations, but because they're very Democrat, that just kills that kills it. Even like Northern California is not a bad area for bugging out, but because the state is so expensive and so liberal, just kills it. Knowledge over equipment will help you survive. Yeah, knowledge is more important than equipment, that's for sure. I agree. David's Boxing Self Defense says blanket statements can be a bit too much. Um, I don't know about blanket statements, but I don't think I'm making any blanket statements. I'm entitled to my opinions, obviously, I'm entitled to my opinions just like anybody else. Country Christian says it's so sad. I live in Georgia, which used to be such a big part of the Bible Belt, but even it has changed dramatically over the past few years. People are turning away from God everywhere. Yeah, Georgia, Virginia, these are like Bible Belt states. I mean, especially Georgia, but even Virginia. I mean, Virginia was a very red state for many years, and now Virginia's turning into a blue state. Their legislature now is dominated by Democrats. Both houses are dominated by Democrats. Um, who would have thought? Georgia, it's changing. It's insane. Even like Kentucky reelected a Democrat governor for a second term. Who would think? Kentucky of all places, right? So yeah, things are getting crazy. It's getting absolutely insane. Dean is asking me, when is my mukbang live stream gonna be? I don't think I've ever done one of those, but I've never. I don't. That would be pretty interesting, actually. I like food, so that would be pretty interesting. I'll try to do that. I'll keep that in the back of my mind. Um, Jack K says, I'm not evil. I'm a Democrat. I do charity work, drive special needs kids. My husband is a vet. I teach ESL, and I'm a Christian. Yeah, you don't want to, generalize. No, I mean, I'm not generalizing. I think what some people are saying about Democrats, like they're thinking about like the Democrat politicians. They're not saying like I think it was Michael Gale that said Democrats are evil. I think he was thinking about like Biden and Nancy Pelosi and these types of characters, not like just a average American. And same thing goes for me too. I'm talking about the politicians. When I say Democrats, I'm talking about the people in charge. I'm not talking about the citizens. When I say like Democrats ruin Vermont or they ruin Maine, I'm talking about the politicians that force their way on the people there and impose their will, um, which is un-American. For example, I have no problem with somebody that wants to eat vegan burgers and they want to drive an electric vehicle, and they're not Christian. That's fine. If that's what you like, go for it. Okay. If you want to eat vegan burgers, if you want to eat tofu, if you hate meat, you hate milk, you hate gluten, whatever, you want to drive an electric car, I have no problem with that. But don't force me to do what you want to do. Okay. Don't impose your lifestyle on me. That's what bothers me. Okay. Why can't we just live in peace? Why is it that the Democrats, they want to force their lifestyle on me? Okay, why are they trying to take my freedoms away? Why are they trying to take my truck away? Why are they trying to take my guns away? Why are they trying to take my Bible away? Okay, if you don't like trucks, you don't like guns, you don't like Bibles, that's fine. Okay, I'm not forcing you to buy a truck, to buy a gun, and to read a Bible. Nobody's forcing you. But don't force me to get a Tesla and you know uh you know eat vegan burgers and stuff. That's what bothers me. um it's a free country and we should all be free to do what we like and pursue our happiness. And the problem is these radical Democrats, they don't want to pursue happiness. They don't allow me to pursue my happiness. They want everybody to do what they want to do and live life the way they think we should live life. Okay. And that's what really bothers me. I would have no problems. I have no problems with somebody driving electric vehicles. I have no problems with people that are against firearms. Okay. That's fine. If you don't like it, that's fine. Okay. I'm not trying to force you, but don't force me. It's pretty simple. It really is. So, uh, Anyway, guys, I think I'm going to wind it down. I've been on here for like almost 3 hours. So thank you guys for tuning in. I can't believe there's still almost 2,000 people in here. It's incredible. Um, just listening to me rant about random stuff. So I'll definitely do a live stream when the doomsday clock gets updated next month. And just be safe out there if you're going to be going anywhere for the holiday, for New Year's. Make sure you're careful. Um, and next week, I'll be announcing the winners of the 100,000 subscriber giveaway. And see what else. I think that's pretty much it. And obviously, if there's any major breaking news, I'll be updating you guys. Aldo Schmedak says, agree to disagree. Exactly, agree to disagree. America is the land of freedom. If you want to eat vegan burgers, go for it. If you want to eat beef, go for it. I think we should all be allowed to pursue our happiness as long as we're not hurting other people. So yeah, I think I'm going to wind it down. I don't have any other breaking news, guys. I've been on here long enough. I don't want to take up any more of your time. Plus, I'm going to be going to sleep soon. It's getting late here. So it was fun hanging out with you guys again. And I'll see if I'll do a live stream on New Year's Eve, potentially. I'll see. Maybe partially. I don't know if I'll be doing it all day. I'll see how I feel and if how things go with that. But I might potentially do something like that. But if not, I wish all you guys a happy New Year, and I wish you guys lots of success and wealth and health and happiness. I wish you guys all the best. Thank you guys so much for all your support. Really appreciate it. All your comments, all your donations, everything. You guys are the best. I really enjoy reading all your comments. I don't always have a chance to read all your comments, but I really enjoy reading the comments when I have time because you guys are all just so nice and you always have the best comments. So thank you. Marie Shevlin, thank you for the super chat and Happy New Year. And I hope you're having a great Friday night, and I wish you all the best in 2024. Thank you so much for that super chat. I really appreciate it. Diane Whitlock, Happy New Year. Somebody asked me if Oregon is a good bug out location. I have a list of all the best bug out locations on my website. And also for nuclear war survival, you can always go to my website. You go to my website, NYPrepper.com. Link is in the description. You're going to want to click on prepping references up here. And when you click there, you'll see a bunch of information here. All these different articles like nuclear war targets in Canada. Check this one out. This is a good one. I see a lot of Canadian viewers here. I have all the nuclear war targets in Canada with a nice picture that I actually made myself. I did this all myself, showing all the locations of the major nuclear war targets and nuclear war targets in Europe here, which I also did myself. This took a lot of time. This took me a few months to do this chart here and this picture and all the targets. I had to do a lot of research, guys, a lot of research on this one. So that's a good one to check out. But then you have best bug out locations in America. This was also a big project too. So here I have all the best bug out locations. This picture here shows basically the best areas to be in the lower 48. So definitely check that out. And I'm going to be doing more videos on bugging out, nuclear war survival, my fictional nuclear war survival series. I'm going to be doing a lot of more prepping stuff. So just stay tuned. I'm going to be doing that in 2024. Kent Reader, thank you so much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And hope you have a happy new year and wish you all the best in 2024. And hope you're having a great Friday night. So thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. And I'll be back tomorrow with more updates and potentially live on New Year's Eve. I'll see. Maybe not the whole New Year's Eve, but maybe partially. I'll see. But until next time, take care. God bless. And don't forget the 3 Ps: prepare, practice, and persevere.